Agencyclick presenting Everything Filmed with Film Robot. And we're broadcasting, of course, from the Film Robot studios and offices in downtown Vancouver. Joe Leary along with Patrick Shelton of Film Robot and Agencyclick. And our shows, I think, are getting better and better all the time. And it's amazing where we get our guests from. Sometimes, you put out sort of feelers, you go through casting agencies, you go through production companies, and every once in a while you just happen to be in a restaurant and meet people.
Well, you know what? It's 1 degree. What is it, like 1 or 2 degrees of separation in Vancouver? It's always been that way.
It pretty much is. And today's show has 2 guests, but they are both connected to each other. We will talk to them both individually and collectively. And we'll first of all introduce actress Amy Dolenz, but she's an actress. She is a film and TV producer. And yeah, you might know the name Dolenz, yes, as a daughter of Micky Dolenz. Welcome to the show. Nice to have you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And she's carried that name for a long time. She's been interviewed about the Dolenz name for a long time, and you've proudly accepted it.
Of course.
But you're also pretty acclaimed yourself, and you've done a lot of things, and I would love to talk about that today. I really would, Joe.
We certainly will, but I have to tell the story of how this guesting duo came about. I was with my buddy Jeff Neal, who is one of these people that just has to jump in everybody's conversation. And it's charming sometimes, and it's a pain in the butt other times. But he happened to be engaged with this conversation with this couple beside us. It was Amy and her husband, Jerry. And at some point, I overheard someone, or I think Amy said, "My dad's on radio." And my ears kind of perked up because I've been on radio for 100 years. And I said, "Who's your dad?" She goes, "Well, he was in a band." I go, "Okay, even more intriguing. Who's your dad?" She goes, "He was in a band called the Monkees." I go, "Who? Micky Dolenz?" So that was actually how it was. And then you introduced us to Jerry, and Jerry brings a lot to the table. So that's kind of how we recruited for this show. Just one of those random encounters, chance encounters. You have been in Vancouver for a number of years, and I understand that you recently passed your citizenship test. Yes. What?
One wrong.
Okay.
One wrong.
And I didn't realize this.
And they won't tell you which one you got wrong.
No, they won't tell you which ones.
So you sit on your computer. You're being monitored, so you can't cheat. No. You've got a period of time of 30 minutes?
30 minutes. Yeah.
Is that new? The Zoom? They did it would they have done it
because of
you
COVID.
would have had to done it in person
go
before,
there.
Right?
Yeah,
you'd have to go there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you said you were studying for it, because the day I met you guys, that's what you were talking about.
Yeah,
how do you study for a Canadian citizenship test?
Well, they give you a booklet. I think it was like 63 pages. It's basically a book. And all the answers, so all the information is in that book. So there's nothing that they're going to surprise you with. It's in the actual book. So you just have to study the book. So that's what I did. And I studied my little butt off. So I know, I used to know a lot about Canada. Of course, I was shoving all this information in my head. So I know certain things, but I think, and they're multiple choice. So it's a little easier than just going, what happened
so what
today.
On that, like citizenship, you've got that. What is the draw to Canada for you? Like, why are you here? We hear LA and you've done so much.
Well, I was born in LA.
Right. And
I'm done. I've done LA.
So what is the draw here? What do you like about, and you're not alone. There's a lot of people that feel that, but what do you say to the American transplants? Like what's your gut feel about this whole thing?
Oh, my gut feel is, I've lived in other countries as well, like Ireland and England and Acapulco. I lived in Mexico and I love living in other countries. I love traveling and I love, other cultures and things. This was the film business. I eventually, my husband and I moved up here for the film business, but when I got here, I fell in love with art and I just started taking some classes at the community center of all places. And then I ended up at Emily Carr and I got my certificate for illustration and just stuck with it. And I kind of left acting behind a little bit. So Vancouver and Canada, I think, to me, it's just... I don't want to say I like it better. I don't want to say, but I don't see myself ending up in the United States though.
Wow.
Full time. Wow. I see myself as living in Canada. I think, and I really can't tell you exactly why. It's just a feeling. I don't know.
It's an interesting thing because I've met a lot of people and like I'm talking successful people that have gone off to be animators and everything, and they have a short stint in the States and they all come back. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing. They go, they go there for the money maybe, and then they go, oh, LA, Vancouver's kind of nicer. So
I think it's just a little calmer. It's not so
there's something
like
different. There's
like,
something different, right? Yeah.
You don't have to be completely like so competitive all the time. People kind of like work together.
Yeah, the pressure's different, right?
The pressure's different.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it right there. I think the pressure's a lot different. You're just a lot more calmer here. I feel calmer. When I land in Los Angeles, I'm like,
you're stressed right away.
I'm stressed,
yeah.
The driving, everything's just so stressful.
When was the point of demarcation when you actually landed on Canadian soil, Vancouver soil? How many years does that go back?
Over 10 years.
Okay.
Jerry, like 11 years.
So I spent 5 years in Toronto, working at Toronto Radio, and I was living about 45 minutes outside of downtown Toronto. And you always kind of feel like the fish out of water. I remember one day I was at this area called Four Corners in Brampton, Ontario, and this car with New York plates pulled up and rolled down the window and said, "Excuse me," and I look over. The guy goes, "Can you direct me? I want to get to Yonge and Bloor," which is like a major intersection in downtown Toronto. And I remember proudly being able to direct that car to get them onto the freeway, to get them to, and I thought, you know what, now I feel like I'm a local.
Yeah.
Did you have that
Yes,
orientation concern?
Yes. No, I mean, it was, actually when somebody asked me a direction and I knew where it was, is
Like,
that what you mean?
Can you direct me to Broadway and Oak right now?
Yeah, exactly. You see?
yeah.
And I loved that.
Yeah.
I mean, because when I first got here, of course, people would just think that, I was, like here for my, whole life. And I'm like, I don't know, I just got here. I'm from LA. I no clue. And then it became, oh, can you tell me how to get to McDonald's? And, I'm like, oh, yes, of course. And you just go da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, and then you go, I was like, yes.
So, Amy,
I've arrived.
So, and you said you've taken a break from acting and you kind of got out of that and got to art. But let's go back in time a little bit. And it's a good segue because you're 19, 20, and your dad's pretty famous. And you're 19, 20 years old.
Now? Oh, I wish. Now I'm just...
No, but you were, and your dad at
Long
that
time ago.
when you were 19 or 20, your dad had fame, and maybe in the height of his fame or ending it, like I'm trying to put the timeline together. So what was it like for you? You're in LA, 19 years old. Your dad's kind of famous. Like it would be interesting to see. And then you went into the industry. Did he help you in? Did you have the same agent? Like what really happened?
No, my dad did not want me to be in the business at all. So I had to kind of fight him a bit on that. I actually went to one of his best friends who was also in the business, producer and knew agents and all that. So I went to Stuart and sat him down and go, look, I know my dad doesn't want me to do this, and talk him into it, because I want to do it. And I was doing theater in school and everything, and I really wanted to do it. My dad just did not want me to be in the business at all. So, and that's how it all came about, is Stuart, talked to my dad, and then he's like, okay, well, just try getting an agent if she gets the agent. So I got my first agent I kind of auditioned for. So my dad's like, damn.
How old would you have been there? How old would you have been?
I would have been at that point probably 16.
Wow, so that was pretty early.
Yeah.
Pretty early, yeah.
Yeah.
Our guest is Amy Dolenz. Agencyclick presents Everything Film with Film Robot, broadcasting from the offices of Film Robot in downtown Vancouver. It says BNN Bloomberg 1410 AM, also 103.5 FM, HD3. Now, indulge me for a moment, because I admitted to you prior to our recording of this show that I'm kind of a soap nerd. And you spent time on General Hospital.
Yeah.
I have been fortunate to be on set of The Young and the Restless, and I think soap doesn't get its due, because the amount of dialogue that you need to do, and I think it kind of, what I noticed on the Y&R set is that there's double sets of cue cards on the set, but most actors, they're there as a last minute resort, because they don't want to stop tape, because the production schedule is pretty hectic. Yeah. What did you find your time like on General Hospital?
General Hospital for me was such a big, it's kind of was like going to college for acting really fast. Like, you have to, it taught me how to find my mark. It taught me how to find my light. It taught me how to, and do it quickly and learn my lines fast to memorize, because I hated using the cue cards. It would always throw you. A lot of actors, the older actors, were like so good at it, and they could just like, and it wouldn't even look like they were reading anything. But it threw me, so I just learned how to really deal with the camera, getting your mark, and dealing with the character that you're playing too.
You know what?
And when you walk on set though, and you're dealing with like pioneers of the craft, are they accepting of the newbies?
Oh, yes.
They are.
I never, ever dealt with anybody that was like, oh, God, here's like,
Right.
you know, somebody here, you know. No, they always took you under their wing.
So, you know what, for the people
Yeah.
that don't know, and let's just go back in Y&R, and I know Joe's a fan. He
Which I
watches
was
it.
on also,
He watches it every day.
just for a couple
right?
days.
I did not know that.
Just for a couple days.
Okay.
So your main character on Soaps, who was it? And like, how old were you? And just kind of what was her name?
Her name was Melissa McKee. And it's so soapy. Her mother was a paraplegic. She lived in the brownstone with Bobby and Jake. And then she had to leave, and so I was there with my little brother. I got into drugs. I became a hooker.
That's so great. So did you eventually die?
No, eventually I moved to Europe.
You moved to Europe. That
but
was the
not,
end of it.
But I did become a candy striper before that, because everybody ends up working at General Hospital at some
But
point.
the thing is, in soap, you never actually surely die.
Yeah, exactly.
You could be an evil twin that's brought. See, the thing
Well,
is, this is why I
exactly.
say that I don't think soap gets its credit, because like when Mrs. Cassadine can control the weather, or Stefano on Days
Yeah.
of Our Lives is has Marlena possessed by the devil. Yeah, those are pretty outlandish plots, and I'm sure you can roll your eyes and have fun at a cast party later.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the amount of effort that goes into this. I mean, I was staggered just by what an exhausted
absolutely.
schedule it is. And again, you may be there at like 7 o'clock in the morning. You may be there till 11 o'clock at night. And I was always told whenever there's a wedding scene or something like that, good Lord, it's a lengthy
Oh,
day.
it's a very long day, big party
Yeah.
scene. I
Yeah.
remember being like sick one time, and I had a bucket underneath the table because it was a huge party scene, and I had to be there. You know, it was like some kind of wedding probably or something like that. And I was like, and it was like, all party, 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 woohoo. It was that bad.
What do they feed you when you're doing those
Yeah.
scenes? Obviously it's real food, but is it sat there for a while and it's cold and it's not pleasant?
It depends. I mean, for instance, like ice cream. I remember eating ice cream like a few times actually on set, and it was actually mashed potatoes, because it doesn't melt and it looks like ice cream. So it's kind of weird because you're supposed to be eating ice cream and it's like mashed potatoes. It's just
Well, that's your acting skill.
yeah, exactly. Your senses have to
that's
be,
incredible.
yeah.
So in addition to your acting work, would you say is kind of taking this on hiatus right now, or would you say it's
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I might do a little bit of it. I haven't really thought about it that much, to tell you the truth.
But you have other side projects. You and your husband Jerry have a foundation, or not a foundation. It's called Kids Picks Productions, which sounds pretty exciting.
We haven't done that for a long
Really?
time.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
that's old school. Yeah.
Okay.
That was back in LA.
That was back in LA.
Yeah.
Could you see something like that maybe
Yeah.
resurfacing up here?
Yeah. We've actually talked about it a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It was about doing kids parties.
Mm-hmm.
And actually bringing in, actually maybe I'm saying too much, because maybe we will, and I'm giving an idea out to
No,
somebody.
well, you know what? Hey,
Hey,
it's an exclusive.
Film Robot presents.
Now
perhaps.
that I know, Jerry's like, shut.
So, Joe, Joe, I gotta ask you, and I gotta say something. When you look back, and we got Amy here, so I gotta ask it. And like, you look back, and what's your memory of the Monkees and that whole genre? Because there was a lot going on, and I mean, not to put you on the spot, Amy, but we're kind of the same, generation, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
we.
Roughly the same vintage.
Well,
roughly.
no, but-
Roughly the same vintage,
Roughly.
exactly.
No, but
roughly.
did we see it reruns, or was
Oh, yeah.
it?
No, I watched
Was it
those
kind
too.
of reruns? Like, did you
It was
see it live?
Well, what's funny is that when I was a kid watching Welcome Back, Kotter, and I actually kind of thought it was funny. And then you watch it as an adult, and you went,
It's not that good. Yeah.
The Monkees was way over my head for that era because
Yeah.
I was too young and too naive a young man to get what some of the
me-
references
me
were.
too, yeah, I
But I
could-
think it's held up well. And the thing was, there was always tune in each episode. And I remember waiting for it to come out on DVD. I had a big DVD collection for a while, and I remember it took a while before the Monkees 2 seasons came out on DVD. But again, being a radio disc jockey, I've played a lot of Monkees records, and even those hold up well. And I know that we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we're going to listen to a little bit of one that you're particularly fond of. This is Everything Film with Film Robot, broadcasting from the offices of Film Robot in downtown Vancouver. You've got it on BNN Bloomberg 1410 AM, 103.5 FM, HD3.